Hi, welcome to Overthinking Entrepreneur. I'm Megan, and I've had a successful online business for a few years now, and I think I overthought probably about 90% of my decisions along the way. Honestly, I just overthought whether I should say 90% or pretty much every decision in this intro. So if you find that relatable, you are definitely in the right place. In this podcast, I will help you get out of overthinking and into action so that your online business can finally start growing. Do you have an audience problem in your business? What do I mean by this? So basically what I mean is the source of the struggles or the problems or what you feel is missing in your business related to your audience? I, as a general rule, will not make like sweeping declarations or generalizations or saying all of you need to work on this or, that kind of stuff, because I really do think most things going on in your business are so individual. It depends on you. It depends on what skills you've worked on. It depends on what you sell, who you're trying to sell it to, how long you've been in business. There's so many things that can make identifying what's going on in your business a very unique and individual thing. However, this is the one hill that I kind of will die on, is that probably the majority of you listening to this have an audience problem. If you have put a big focus on growing your audience and continued to make that a big focus, and you have a steady stream of new leads coming into your business, then I'm not talking about you. But if you have not, then this is probably at least a big part of what's going on with you. And that's why this can also feel complicated, is that typically there's multiple factors that are all coming together that might be what's going on and why it feels like you can't really figure out the problem. But I just want to kind of walk you through some of the signs that you have an audience problem, because I think you need to know what's going on in order to be able to fix it. If you have not identified, this is my issue, this is where I really need to move forward, this is kind of the bottleneck in my business, then you're going to continue to feel stuck, and that's no fun. So let's talk about some of the signs that you have an audience problem, meaning that your audience, and when I say audience, I mean the people who are exposed to your content and exposed to your business, going through your marketing channels, whatever those look like. So if you are using social media to market, then these can be the people on your friends list, the people following you, the people in your Facebook group if you have one. These can be the people on your email list or your text list if you're using something more like that, the people following your YouTube, following your podcast, whatever you are using to get the word out about your business and market yourself, the people who are seeing that currently, that's your audience. And you want a big focus to always be growing that audience. And a lot of times that is not necessarily getting the focus that it should be in your business. And I get it. It's hard. It's scary. It's much easier to focus on other stuff that feels easier, like, oh, I just need better posts, or oh, I just need this, or oh, I just need that. But the biggest thing, if your business is not making the amount of money that you want it to be making, this is another one of those like die on a hill moments that I'll give you, that again, I won't very often. But if your business is not making the amount that you want it to be making, the number one thing that you should be focused on is growing your audience. That is the biggest, most effective lever that you can pull in your business. If you continue to just talk to the same possibly small audience of possibly the wrong people, and you're thinking it's my posts, it's this, it's that, I need to work on my wording, I need better photos, and all of those things matter. I am not trying to act like they don't. But at the end of the day, if you're showing great content to the wrong people or not enough people, you're still not going to bring in the sales. But with a large audience of the right people, even if your content's kind of mediocre, you're still going to make more sales. We get fixated on the things that are within our comfort zone, like working on posting, working on those things. And it was interesting. I did a challenge last week that was about shaking up your algorithm, and I had a few people reach out and ask me questions related to posting. And I get it. A lot of the challenges I've done in the past have been focused on posting. And so when I told them, oh, this, posting is a part of this challenge, but that's not the main focus, they didn't sign up. And that's okay. I don't know the full picture of what's going on with them. I am not saying this whatsoever to like throw a pity party or say that they were wrong for not signing up. They know what's going on in their business more than I do. But I have noticed that a lot of people want to fixate on the posting aspect and the things that feel more comfortable to work on. And when I talk about growing your audience, growing your network, figuring out your value, these are the things that tend to really scare people and they kind of avoid. But these are the things that are actually going to help you get unstuck and help you create the results that you want most of the time. And that's why I want to talk about this today. So if you happen to miss it, I would really strongly suggest that you go back and listen to episode 22 of this podcast, which is called Did You Know Your Business is Like Farming? Here's how to make your harvest more plentiful. And this walks you through understanding why that steady stream of new leads is so important to your business. So if you have not listened to that one yet, I personally think it's one of the best episodes I've ever done, but I know just how impactful that understanding and that analogy can be. So I don't want to spend this whole episode reiterating something I've already talked about here on this podcast about why growing your audience is so crucial. So I just want to give you that little reminder. If you have not yet, go back and listen to episode 22. It will change your life. Okay, now let's get into some of the signs that you have an active, ongoing audience problem. Number one, you can't describe who your ideal client is. And this one, I understand it's hard at the beginning. And it depends kind of where you're at in your journey of your business and how big you're hoping to grow your business. And, it depends on so many different factors, which I hate myself. Like when I hear that coming out of my mouth and saying, well, it depends, or maybe this, maybe that. I think it's annoying too. I get it, but it really does depend in a lot of scenarios. But the first step towards effectively growing your audience the right way is to know who you're looking for. And that means your ideal client. You need to have an understanding of who you are trying to fill your audience with. Because it's not just a numbers game, like a lot of people like to say. It's not simply, get to 5,000 Facebook friends and then your sales will explode because you'll have all these people seeing your content. Yeah, not really, especially if they don't really connect with you and they don't engage with you. It can actually do more harm than good in terms of your reach and how many people are seeing you. So it's not just about, I need to be adding all these new people or going out and doing the whole follow unfollow game or anything like that. It's, yes, numbers matter, but only if they're the right people. My business sells to people that have businesses. If I went out and sent a whole bunch of friend requests to people that don't have an online business, they would never buy from me. It does not matter how great my programs are. It does not matter how great my marketing is. They don't have a need for what I'm selling, and that's that. So you have to start by finding the people that have a need for what you're selling and that have a need for buying it from you. Not everyone who needs what you sell will connect with you, relate to you, and be the best fit to buy from you and work with you. So the more that you can narrow this down and really figure out, okay, who am I looking for? Who has a need or a want? Some things are a need, some things are a want. It depends on what you sell. But who has that need or that want for my product? And then who is also most likely to connect with me? And what does that look like? If you cannot describe your ideal client, and you guys, I think that some people take this way too far in terms of how you should be able to describe your ideal client. I don't think you need to make up this whole fake person who loves Chinese food and Bridgerton and all this. I just don't think that is relevant. But you need to be able to explain who they are, why they have the need or want for your product, and why they would relate to you, connect with you, and want to buy from you. And if you can't do that, and it does not have to be this perfectly polished sentence that you can roll off your tongue. You can trip over your words a little bit. I'm fine with that. I don't think very often do you need to share your ideal client statement. So I think fine-tuning the wording, if you want to do it for you, that's fine. But I don't think that you need to have this beautiful polished statement ready to go, but you do need to be able to explain who they are. And I'm an example of this. I don't have this is the way I always say who my ideal client is, but I can describe them to you and why they would want to follow me, what they're going through, what they need help with, how I'm equipped to help them. These are things that you need to be able to explain. And if you can't, I'm pretty sure you have an audience problem because you don't have the right people in your audience because you aren't clear on who should be there and why. And so it's really hard to grow your audience when you don't even really know who you're looking for. Number 2, ties right in, kind of a very similar thing, but if you can't explain why someone should want to follow you. So once we have that ideal client figured out, your next job is to become, and if social media or your email list, wherever it is, I'm going to say follow for simplicity, but this refers to whatever outlet you are trying to use to grow your audience. But why should your ideal client want to get more from you? Why should they want to keep receiving your emails? Why should they want to watch your YouTube videos? Why should they want to join your group or connect with you on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever? It's your job to figure this out and become someone that your ideal client is going to want to follow. And if you're not doing that, and then you're wondering why you're really struggling to grow your audience, well, that's why. You have to be able to explain, oh yeah, someone who fits my ideal client mold would want to follow me because XYZ. And this will probably be a mixture of, this is the value that I provide them. And people always get hung up on the word value. And I have been on a quest for years to find a better term to replace it with, and I just haven't. So if anyone has one, please send it my way. But they get something out of your content, whether they learn something, whether they get inspired, whether it makes them laugh or smile, whether they feel like they're not alone and they really relate to you. There are so many different ways that you can provide value. And we talked more about this in last week's episode. So if you missed that one, go give that a listen as well. But there needs to be something of substance that makes it feel worth it for them, that makes them want to see more of what it is that you're doing. And that comes from you. So many of us, I find, struggle to see the value that you have to offer. So many people are out here saying, man, I can't seem to grow my business. Like, I'm really struggling. This is so hard. And then when I try and talk to you about what you're doing to connect with new people and the value that you provide and how you're trying to grow your marketing channels and make them awesome things that people want to be a part of, I get a lot of deer in headlights looks, and I get a lot of people who feel like I don't have anything to offer. I don't have anything valuable. I'm so boring. I can't not tell you how many times I've heard from people, I am so boring. And you need to recognize your own value if you want anyone else to recognize it. You need to start first. It's not like internet strangers are going to find you and say, hey, I know you have something of value in there to teach me. Let me message you and pick your brain and find out. Like, they're never going to do that. They're just not. It's up to you to put in the work to figure out who are you trying to attract, what kind of content will make them want to connect with me, and then create that content. And you can do this in your own way. Do not look at what other people in your space are doing and think that you need to become them. There are so many ways to become someone worth following that work for you and feel natural to your personality, but it is really important that you need to be able to explain, why should someone want to follow you? And if you can't, then you probably have an audience problem, because you're probably struggling to get people to start following you or join your email list or whatever, or stick around, right? You might have people who maybe they come in, they watch one video, they listen to one episode, read one post, one email, whatever. But the goal here is, how do we hook them in and make them want to stick around and continue to consume your content? Because it's that over time nurturing and them getting value from you, building that trust, getting to know you more, that's what leads to the eventual sales. But if they don't want to follow you, if they never open your emails, if they don't listen to your podcast episode or your YouTube video because they didn't find it relevant or helpful, then it's not helpful to get them to kind of see something once and fall off and never want to connect with you again. Your goal is to not even have to worry about algorithms as much, because they directly want to seek you out and find your content. And they say, hey, I haven't seen that person on my feed. I wonder if they have a new video or a new episode. And they find it because they love your content. Now, obviously, that's a process. I'm not trying to pretend like that will just happen overnight. But you need to make sure that there's a reason why someone should want to follow you, and that you're clear on it, and that you are showing up accordingly and doing the things that will make people want to follow you. Another sign that you have an audience problem is a lack of engagement. Now, this one, there's so many things that go into engagement, and I've done a whole episode about engagement. I have a whole freebie that you can download. It's linked in the show notes, by the way, if you don't have it yet, it's my guide and checklist to how to create more engagement on social media. And it's one of those things that a lot more goes into than you might originally think. And I hesitated to put this one on the list only because I so strongly believe in the idea of an engagement piece. And if you are not including an engagement piece, you can have wonderful, valuable content that people really love. But if you're not including that engagement piece, sometimes it's not going to get the engagement no matter what. So grain of salt with this one a little bit. Make sure that you understand my concept of engagement pieces and that you are including these in your content before you take this as a sign, oh, no one engages with me, I'm doing something wrong. Make sure that you're doing the things that it takes to create that engagement first before you leap to that conclusion. But if you are doing the right things that should be creating engagement, or if you find that people engage with your other posts, but not the ones about your business. Now, again, another grain of salt here, because it is normal to have less engagement on business posts than other posts. It just is. That's just, it's to be expected. But if it's a stark, drastic difference and a pattern that you've noticed over time, and like no matter what, you cannot seem to get people engaging on any post that mentions your business whatsoever, that to me is a sign that they're not interested. They're not interested in your business. And that means they're probably not the right people. And many of us beat our face off the wall getting so frustrated trying to think of like, what can I do to convince these people to buy from me? Like, what can I do to get them to see the value in this thing that I'm offering? What can I do to get them to change their mind or decide that it is worth the money? And honestly, I don't think you should. I think instead of trying to convince and driving yourself crazy and saying, why don't they see the value in what I have here? Instead, you need to focus on going out to find the people who do see the value. And this is why I'm such a big proponent of focusing on your audience growth, because it's miserable and it's hard and it's probably not going to work anyway to try and convince people to buy. Most people that have been convinced to buy from you, they're a one-time buyer. They might not even use the thing that you convince them to buy, but they're probably not going to become a repeat customer or send you a bunch of referrals or anything like that. You had to convince them to even buy in the first place. So I think you just really want to, and again, this can be tricky because I just do think that generally speaking, for a lot of people, business posts gets less engagement than personal posts. And I also think that engagement piece factor makes a huge difference. But if you feel like it is pulling teeth, you can get people to engage with other stuff, but you cannot get them to engage with stuff about your business, that to me is a sign that they're not interested in your business. They're just not. They don't want to read it. They don't want to watch. They don't care. And not everyone will care, and that's fine. The key here is to not get hung up on the fact that they don't care and not let that frustrate you and break your spirit, and instead say there are people out there who will care, and that's all that I have to do is find them. And it really is. That really is all that you have to do. And your business could completely turn around. If you would shift your focus from instead driving yourself crazy and saying, why won't they buy? What am I doing wrong? And obsessing over little details that don't make a difference. And instead set your sights on, I'm going to grow my audience and I'm going to make this happen and I'm going to reach new people. You could have such a different business this fall and this holiday season. Okay. And then the last sign is that your sales slowed way down. So if you've never had sales, that can be a sign that other things are off. Your messaging is off. Your product is off. The way you're trying to present it to people. Like, this is where, if you've never had those sales, if things have never really taken off, or maybe it's a new product and it's not selling, right? This can be a sign that something is off, and those things that do sometimes feel more comfortable to fixate on. Like, what am I doing wrong? How do I need to phrase this differently? Like, the way I'm trying to present this to people obviously is not connecting with them. So what do I need to do to kind of put a different spin on this and help present it differently? But if you once had pretty good sales and they've slowed way down, that says to me you have not been meeting new people. If your product is good, the way you're talking about it is good, which is evidenced by the fact that people have purchased from you in the past, and it just feels like that all dried up. And part of it is the economy right now. I think we should just be upfront about that. People's buying habits are a little bit different. It's also summertime. While I'm recording this, it is during a economic, just kind of stressful, uncertain time. And it's also peak summer, which tends to be slower sales. So if your sales have just slowed down over the summer, I probably wouldn't stress too much. It might just be that natural dip that many of us experience. But if you felt like in the beginning of your business or early on, even last year, you had pretty solid sales, and lately for, multiple months in a row, maybe even longer, it's been feeling really hard and like no one's interested anymore, and like you're just pulling teeth and trying to figure out what the heck is going on here, that says to me you have not continued to have a steady stream of new leads coming into your business. You have either you never started growing your audience the right way, or maybe you did for a while and then you kind of decided that you could rest on the audience that you've already had. And I'll just be honest with you, I've had this issue. I've had times where I was really focused on audience growth and then I thought to myself, okay, I have a pretty solid audience here. I think I can back off of that for a little bit. You want to know what happens when I back off of audience growth? Yeah, my sales back off every single time. Okay. If you are not focused on bringing new people kind of into your world, letting them learn about you, letting them learn about your business, giving them time, kind of planting that seed with them like we talked about in that previous episode that you're going to go listen to if you haven't yet. And then you're giving it time to be nurtured and time to sprout and be ready to harvest. You're pretty much always going to have someone who's ready to buy. If you're always connecting with new people and planting those seeds, then you should somewhat, at least, for the most part, always have people that are ready to buy and always have new customers. If this is not happening for you and things have really slowed down and you're frustrated and now you're like, I don't know, I can't get people to engage in my group, and now you're blaming the algorithm. And don't get me wrong, the algorithm can be frustrating. I'm not trying to dismiss your frustrations. I'm frustrated with it too. But I'm just trying to help you see that you might be fixated on the wrong thing. Are you actually connecting with new people consistently, bringing new people into your group, bringing new people onto your email list, onto your friends list, doing the things that it's going to take to bring in those sales and to have consistent interest? Because we can't just say, well, I met some new people at 1.2 years ago and now I'm set for life. That's just not how it works. You need to always be out there. And think about these big companies that spend millions of dollars for Super Bowl ads. Their name is out there. They're known, and they still know the power of continuing to market and continuing to bring in those new leads and continuing to get in front of new people. You need to do it too. You can't just say, well, I have 100 people in my Facebook group. I think that's enough, and this is going to be who sustains my business for the next 10 years. 100 people is not going to sustain your business for 10 years. You need to be consistently growing and connecting with new people, and they need to be the right people. They need to fit your ideal client mold in order to have your business continue to grow. So I hope this has been helpful for you. And I hope that, it's never fun to identify that you have a problem in your business. However, it is good to pinpoint what's going on, because then you know how to fix it. When I tend to get the most stressed out and overwhelmed is when I don't know what's going on, or I don't know where to go next. When I'm just feeling like, I don't know, something's not working anymore, but I don't know what to do. That's when I tend to feel really overwhelmed. When I can say, okay, I think this is what's going on, and now I know what I need to do to fix it, that's a much more empowering mindset to be in. So you might be listening to this and thinking, well, yep, I relate to all of these. It seems like I definitely have an audience problem, and now that sucks. What do I do now? It's okay. Now you know what to put your energy towards, and now we can fix it and get things turned around. And if you want some help with this, I am launching a brand new program. I actually, ever since I recorded that episode about planting seeds of my podcast back in the beginning of June, it's now almost the end of July, I have been marinating on this idea of, I know there's something here. I know this is where people get stuck, and I know they need help with this, and I've been trying to figure out, what can I do to help? And how do I want to structure this program? Because this is something that there's, even just listening to me talk here, I'm sure you've heard there's multiple facets that grow into this, right? You need to figure out, who is my ideal client? And then you need to become someone that person wants to connect with, wants to follow, wants to continue receiving emails from, or whatever. And then you also need to have a plan in place for how you're going to go out and meet those people. And there's lots of different ways that you can do this. And some of them are more active, meaning you're going out and directly meeting people, having those conversations, sending friend requests, or, sharing the link to download your lead magnet or whatever. And some of them are more passive things that you can set up in the background that allow more people to find you in the right ways. It's all important, but it's important that you have a plan and that you then follow through on the plan that you've created. How many times have we created a plan and had great intentions with the plan, but then life got busy, or it felt hard, or it felt scary, right? A lot of times especially when we talk about networking, you're venturing out into internet strangers. Internet strangers can be really mean. Now, my experience has not been that people have been mean when you do this the right way, but I had this same fear of like, oh my gosh, people are so mean on the internet. Now I have to go put myself in front of strangers. How do I do that? How do I connect with people without them thinking that I just want to sell them something? How do I get myself to follow through on this plan that I made and not just, write it down and then never think about it again? All of those things. So I am putting together a brand new 6-week program. I know 6 weeks seems kind of intimidating and seems like a long time, but there's a lot that I want to cover. And the making it longer makes it so that each week doesn't have to be too overwhelming. If I made it like a 5-day boot camp style, you would be drowning because each of the 5 days you would have to do so much. So I figured if I make it longer, I can make each week more flexible and work better for you during this time of year that I know can be busy. And I know some of you might be thinking a 6-week program in the summer. Absolutely not. I get it. I know this is not going to be for everyone. I know some people will have reasons why they can't, and some of them will be valid and some won't. Some of them will just be pure excuses of why you don't want to do this, why you want to avoid it, and that's okay. Some of it will be, this is just genuinely a crazy time for me and I cannot take that on right now, and I understand that. I am launching this now because number one, I'm super excited about it. And I know historically that I need to lean into the things that make me super excited. And I know some of you are ready. Some of you are serious about your business and you are ready to, I could just launch, a bunch of little $10 things and say, here, I know this is an easier yes for you right now this time of year. Here, just grab this. But that's not going to solve your problem. And I know some of you are ready. Some of you are willing to put in the work. Some of you are willing to make an investment, and it's a little more than some of my, it's not like a $20 challenge, but I am offering this at a huge discount compared to what it'll be in the future because this is the first round and I want to just try it out together and see how it goes. And I also have lots of different payment plan options that you can use. And if you want to join and the money is the problem, reach out to me and I can try and work with you if that would help. Now, if you straight up say, I don't have the money, can I join free? No, you cannot. But if you need like a different payment plan or something like that, I can try to work with you because I want as many people to be able to do this program that want to as can. But I know that there are some of you out there that are ready. You're sick of feeling like a failure. You're sick of feeling frustrated. You're sick of feeling like nothing is working anymore. And you're ready to put in some time and put in some effort. And it's not even going to be a crazy amount of time or effort. I'm really keeping in mind that it's a busy time of year and planning accordingly with how everything is structured to make sure that you can get a lot out of this program and still be able to keep up with it if you are dedicated and if you are willing to be serious about it and have the discipline. So we're going to spend 3 weeks doing training and coaching, and then we're going to follow that up with 3 weeks of a challenge. And I've never done anything in quite this format before, but I think it's going to be perfect. I'm really excited about it because when I sat down to just, if I do just the training and coaching, you'll all tell me that you love the program and then it will end and you won't follow through with your plan. I shouldn't say all of you. Some of you might, but most of you won't. I know this and I'm the same way. I know that myself would do that same thing. So then I thought maybe it should just be a nice long challenge and to just get you doing the stuff that you need to be doing the activities. But then I was getting stuck with what should the activities be because they can be so individual. And I think all of you can grow your audience in different ways depending on, so many different factors. And so it finally clicked for me. The reason I can't decide one or the other is because it needs a little bit of both. And that's why I keep getting so stuck with it. So we're going to do 3 weeks of coaching and training to help you learn these concepts. And then you're going to have a chance to talk to me. Each week there's going to be a group Zoom that I'm thinking I'm going to keep them to just an hour to make them easier to fit into your schedule. And there will be a recording if you can't come live. You will still get all of the ideas and inspiration from watching the recording, even if you can't be on live. And then each week there's also going to be a super flexible office hours voice message day where anytime throughout that day, you can voice message me. So if you can't make the Zoom, this is your chance. You'll have an entire day whenever it's convenient for you to reach out to me so that you can still get help from me and really get this stuff nailed down during the first 3 weeks. And then we'll use the plan that you'll create and we'll go through 3 weeks of a challenge to get you actually implementing what it was that you worked on. I am so excited about this. We are going to spend the first week nailing down your ideal client. We're going to spend the second week figuring out what is the value you offer and how can you become someone that your ideal client wants to follow. And then we're going to spend week 3 creating your networking plan and figuring out what is it that you're going to be doing to be growing your audience both actively and passively. And then we're going to have 3 weeks of you actually doing those things so that they stop feeling so scary. We're going to harness that power of a challenge where you do things that you would have never thought that you could do and you bust way out of your comfort zone because of the other people doing the challenge with you. So I am beyond excited for this. And the other reason I want to do this now is that it tends to take about 90 days for the things that you're doing to show up as results in your business. And so if you are hoping that, summer's slow, I get it, but I think fall would be better. I'll have a busy season, Black Friday and holiday shopping and all of that. Well, that is only going to happen if you start planting seeds now. If you wait until it's almost Black Friday and then say, okay, Black Friday, it's going to be awesome. Black Friday is not a guarantee of things being awesome. And I would say this year more than ever, right? I'm hoping that our economy feels a little more stable by then, but who knows what it's going to look like by Black Friday. And people are probably going to be having to not spend as much as they had in the past. And so relying on, all my customers will come back and place big orders like they always do. Well, I hope that they do, but I don't think that you can rely on that as a sure thing as much as previous years, unless they're like really good customers that really love what it is that you sell. So I think right now is the best time to start making those connections, start meeting new people, and start planting those seeds so that you can have a busy fall and holiday season. But that's not going to happen if you don't make an effort to start growing your audience now, if you have an audience problem. So okay, I talked about the program more than I meant to. Sorry about that, but also I'm not sorry about that because I'm really excited about it, and I think it's going to be that game changer that so many of you need. So I cannot wait. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all. I hope that this helped you, and I will talk to you again next week. I hope this episode inspires you to go take action on something you have been overthinking. As much as I wish you could, you cannot think your way to success, so promise me you're going to go take some action today. Head over to overthinkingentrepreneur.com to find all the cool stuff I've made for you over the years, like my free guide to getting more social media engagement and my Facebook group, Dynamite Entrepreneurs, which has a free course on social media basics.